Usually I show crafting items and tutorials on how I make stuff, but this time I'm going to be doing a thrifting haul. I went thrifting with a friend a couple times and by myself a couple times in the last few months, and found some items that I'll be using in some of my junk journals and my lace and doily books. And I also found some items that I'm just going to be displaying around the house. I wanted to show you what I got in my haul. I'm going to try to remember the prices of everything, but some of them I've taken the prices off in previous months. And there are a few items that I also thrifted that I gave away as Christmas items, so I no longer have them. So the very first item was a beaded candle covers. I don't know what else to call them. They were made out of these colored beads, and they were vintage. They were round, I would say about 5 inches around, 4 inches high, and they had a hole through the top and the bottom. So the only thing I could think of is they were covers for candles at Christmas time. And I got pretty excited when I found these. And the reason being is I wanted to be able to make a vintage beaded Christmas tree out of these colored beads for decorative purposes in my home. I tried to find these beads everywhere. Michael's, Walmart, online, at Amazon, and I couldn't find them. The only ones I could find was this package of clear ones. And I didn't want to make just a clear tree. I wanted a red and green and white tree. The other problem I had was I could not find safety pins anywhere that were 2 inches. And I needed 2 inches to make my tree. I could find sets of safety pins everywhere, Walmart, dollar stores, everywhere I looked, even online. But they started at a 1/2 inch and went up to 1.5 inches. And it would have cost a fortune to buy enough to get enough of the 2-inch ones doing it this way. I did find this box that are all 1.5 inches, and I got that at Amazon. But 1.5 is not quite big enough. I'm going to use these and the leftover beads and make a smaller tree. But I wanted a little bit bigger tree, and it requires 2-inch. So when I found these candle covers, it was perfect. I knew I was going to deconstruct them, and I did. And I got enough beads and enough 2-inch safety pins to make my tree. I don't have my tree here. I packed it away with the Christmas decorations, but I will insert a picture here of how it turned out, and I was quite pleased with it. So that was a couple of items I got. They were $2 each, and so that was quite a bit cheaper than what I was able to find anywhere else. Next, I found a couple of old vintage pearl necklaces. They're not real pearls. They are heavy, so they're glass. And I use these in my doily and lace junk journals. So this is one. This is another one, and it has 3 strands. And then this single strand as well. These were each $1.50, so that was a pretty good deal. And I can tell they're vintage because of the clasp that's on them. This one also. So I was pleased with that find. Then I found some doilies for my books. This one is a blue and white one. I plan on making a blue journal in the near future. I'm collecting everything I need for it. Then I found these placemats that have blue embroidery on them. They're very pretty. So I got 2 of those. This one is a little more delicate, very pretty. It would be a really easy task to cut this one apart and just use each small floral piece separately in the journal, and there is some staining on some of them. I don't mind the staining, so that's a pretty one. I got 3 of these for 79 cents each at our Bibles for Missions thrift store. So I was happy to find those. They make good pockets. I fold them in half and glue them in or sew them in and tuck things behind them for a pocket. I found one of these. It was also 79 cents. It's cut out of a larger piece, obviously. You can tell because the corners are frayed a bit. Another one, it's more of a browner tone. That one's about 7 inches. Then I have this one. It's quite white, and it's very different. Beautiful pattern, almost like a macrame pattern to it because of the knots and so on throughout it. Really like that one, and they only had the one. I think I paid $2 for that one. This is another delicate looking one. Quite fine thread that they used. Very pretty. This one's about 9 inches. And it's more of a star shape. Just one of those. And then I got a couple of these. I think this one's larger and 2 smaller. And they almost look like tatting. So I got 3 of those. And I think that set was $1. Then I also found this large one that's laying on my table. It's about 3 feet wide, and it would be very easy to cut sections out of this one as well and use it, but it's in quite good shape, so I'm not sure yet if I will cut it up. This one was $3.99 at the Bibles for Missions store. Next, I got this beautiful item. I don't have any Vaseline glass, so I really was happy when I found this piece. Everything at the thrift store that we were there that day was half price for hard items, and all the clothing was $1 a piece. Didn't matter what you bought. It's not in perfect condition. It does have some flea bites on the bottom, but it's for my collection, so I wasn't too worried about it. And this does glow. Isn't that gorgeous? So I was very happy to get that piece. And at half price, I paid $3 for it. Next item I found was this gorgeous perfume bottle. I'm not sure of the maker. There is a barely visible pontil on the bottom. It's very highly polished. So it has no mark on it. The top does belong with this bottle. It fits perfectly and it's in great condition. There's no chips or cracks anywhere on it, on any of the edges, and quite heavy, well made. And at half price, I paid $4 for that. This item, I really liked finding it. It's a riser plate, or I'm not sure, a display plate for something. Maybe it's meant to have a cloche over top of it, but it was on its own. It's in great shape, but it does say right here, made in Italy, dishwasher, microwaver safe. So it's not vintage, it's fairly newer. But the reason I wanted this is I used this at Christmas time in my vignettes. I'm still using it now. It would be perfect if I decorated for Valentine's. I don't do much for Valentine's. It's about 9 inches across and 4 inches high. So I really was happy to find that piece. And it cost me $5. Then I found this little bird. It's along the lines of the little bluebirds made by Fenton. This one is green. It has no marks, no signatures or anything on it. It has a very polished bottom, even though it has a couple of scratches on it, probably from age. The beak is great. There's no chips or cracks on the beak or the tail or the eyes. Just a perfect little, fun little bird. And I think he was $1. Then I found another bird. This one I was quite tickled to find. I believe this is Mexican. I don't know if it's Tonala. It has no signature on it, although it does have these markings on it. They're like 4 strokes, an F, and I'm not sure what that is. I'd have to look that mark up. It has remnants of another sticker. I think that was from a previous sale or maybe from the original sale. But it does look Mexican. It's in perfect condition. No chips or cracks. The beak's not chipped. The tail's not chipped. There's no paint loss anywhere. So that was a fun little find as well. I found some books. Some of them will be used in my journal, making journals, and some of them I use again in my vignettes just for display purposes as risers and such. And I'll include a picture of how I use some of them up on my mantle of my fireplace. So this one was just a little guidebook. It says it's published by the Green Mountain Club from Rutland, Vermont. The reason I wanted this one is because of the detail inside it. They make great little pages and ephemera for in my junk journals. Plus in the back, it did have a larger map. So I will probably use that in my book. That was one. This is another one. It says it's Guide to the Appalachian Trail in Maine. And again, it's full of detailed pictures and drawings from somebody. And in the back of it, there is a set of 8 maps. And again, these are nice maps. They're colored. They're just a perfect size to use in my books as ephemera and decorative pages. So I thought that was a great find. And these books were all at a book sale at a town close to me, and I think the smaller books were 50 cents and the larger books were $1. This one is an embossed book. I don't know if that shows up or not. I won't be taking this one apart. I really enjoy this little book. I'm using it as a riser. It's by R.L. Stevenson, and it's his poems. It was published in 1920, and it's just a perfect, cute little size to be used as a riser, and I just love the cover. This one also, it's another one by Robert Louis Stevenson. It has the gold embossing on it. They're not very big. They're not much bigger than my hand. And this one has a leather cover. And let's see if I can find a publishing date for this one. 1914, and it's called Lay Morals and Other Papers by Robert Louis Stevenson. It has the gold embossing on the front edge of the pages, but it makes a great little book as a display book. These two I picked up. They are 2 versions of the same story. It's a story that I enjoyed as a child, and I believe this is the story that the movie was based on. They're both called The Snow Goose. They're by Paul Gallico. It was published, see if I can find a date here, 1952. So that's a little bit vintage. And this is a larger version of it. Same story, quite a bit larger writing, easier to read. And this one was published, I believe, in 1941. Yes, 1941. This one also will be for display purposes. Some Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. I won't be taking this one apart either. The publishing date for this one, 1911. So a nice old book, and again for display, even though the back has some color loss on it. It's still in solid shape, very good condition, and the binding is good and strong. This one, I wasn't inclined to read the story. That wasn't why I picked up this book. It has this awesome book cover. It's a hard book, not huge, a 1/2 inch thick. But look at the pages on the front of this, how rough they are and how discolored they are. What a beautiful vintage find. And look at the pages inside this book. Every one of them is illustrated and decorated along the edges. I just thought that was fantastic. And it's not the same decoration or drawing. They're all different. So I picked that one up, and I won't be taking it apart, but I may scan the pages and use them in my junk journals. By Anne Courtney, and it was published in 1907. Another fantastic find. This one I did buy to take apart. It's School Arithmetic. It is an older book. 1918. But it was the mathematical equations and workings that I wanted out of this book. Makes for fantastic ephemera. Plus this book is falling apart, so it won't break my heart to deconstruct it and use it in my journals. This is another one, and I don't think I'll be taking this one apart again. This is called The Notebook of Elbert Hubbard. But look at the inside of this book. That's fantastic fonts, and the color. Taking this one apart, I just thought the fonts in this book were just superb. So I will probably scan some of this and use it in my junk journals. Now this one was published, I think it's Roman numerals. Oh no, 1927. So another one that's vintage and a nice book for display. This one I did buy to take apart. It's calligraphic lettering, and I bought it simply for the writing and the fonts and the calligraphy that's inside it. I thought those would be just great for using in my junk journals. It's even a better find than finding, say, a typewriter book. Just great. So I was happy with that. This next book, these are so hard to find in Canada. These are Edith Holden books. You can look for years and not find one here. They're fairly common overseas in England, Britain, but here you have to work really hard to find one. She was an English lady, and she did her own drawings and her own research into various plants, birds, butterflies. Look at the descriptions, the writing. Her writing is just awesome, and the pictures. So a lot of people use these in their junk journal. They take them apart and use them. I won't be taking it apart because it's too hard for me to find these books, but I will be scanning them and using them. And because of its age, there's no problem with a copyright for these books. You are allowed to use the book plates and the pictures. Next, I found a bunch of Christmas books, and these are mostly to use a display, and I did that at Christmas time. I use them in a display throughout my rooms. This one is a music book. It's called Christmas in Song, but I purchased it just for the picture on the front. Isn't that fantastic? So vintage, so bright. The colors are still very, very strong, even though inside it's just music. This one again is Christmas carols, but look at the picture on the front of it. Lovely vintage picture. Front and back, it's in great shape. And inside, it has all Christmas music, but so cute. Very nice. Very vintage. This one is called the Christmas Activity and Game Book but the color still on the cover of this book and the back, and it's quite vintage. The pages are all yellowed and older. I don't know that there was a publishing date in this one. Oh yes, 1976. And I picked it up because all the activities and everything's still in the book. It was never drawn on or written in. None of the activities were cut out or used. It's all still intact. So it makes a perfect display book as well at Christmas time. I love it. These books are called Ideals Christmas. They're all different ages. I got 4 of them. I'd never heard of this series before. Throughout the book, it's all Christmas, crafting, stories, poems, recipes, but just full of beautiful pictures. Now, this is the newer one, and you can tell it's newer by the pages and the font. See if I can find the year this one came out. 2011, so it is definitely newer. But these ones are older, and you can tell by looking. Look at the pictures and the graphics. It's just great. Lots of lovely stories and poems, and the color in it is still really, really nice. So I haven't decided if I'm going to take these ones apart. I may just scan them so I can keep using them, or I may deconstruct one and use it. They're very nice. Somebody had collected one every year for a few years. These ones are definitely a little older. Is there a date on this one? It says volume 19, 1962 on this one. And this one is volume 42. This one is in Roman numerals, so it's hard to tell the age of this one. Look at that cute little squirrel. So again, it has gorgeous pictures throughout. Beautiful winter scenes. Lots of lovely poems. So yes, I thought those were great finds. And that's it. That's what I got during my thrifting. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a different video for me, and I hope you enjoyed watching it.